Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, a member of several key committees, including Foreign Relations, Ethics, and Judiciary. Good to see you, Senator. I want to start with what you said yesterday on Morning Joe, because you said if you were president, you would dismiss General Flynn. So I want to get your reaction to what has happened and what should come next.
Well, Chris, this is a very striking development. To learn that General Flynn not only lied to the administration, to the vice president, and put him in the very awkward situation of having to defend that misrepresentation, but to know now that the Department of Justice notified the Trump administration, the incoming administration, that General Flynn had been compromised and could be subject to blackmail by the Russians because an intercept, as you were just describing in that previous segment, indicated that he had lied to the most senior members of this administration. That raises some real questions. Why was General Flynn allowed to continue as National Security Advisor to be in the highest level of security deliberations for weeks?
Can I just stop you there, because I think it's important, Senator, that Kellyanne Conway was unequivocal about that point you just made this morning on the Today Show. So let me play that.
Flynn continued in that position and was in the presidential daily briefings, was part of the leader calls as recently as yesterday.
That makes no sense. Last month, the Justice Department warned the White House that General Flynn had misled them and that as a result, he was vulnerable to blackmail. And at that moment, he still had the complete trust of the president?
Matt, I'm telling you what the president has said, which is that he's accepted General Flynn's resignation and he wishes him well, and that we're moving on.
So you've indicated your concern. How concerned are you that General Flynn was still, according to Kellyanne Conway, a full member of the national security team, even after these warnings came to the White House?
I'm very concerned by this, Chris. This raises, I think, some obvious questions. General Flynn served for decades as a senior military officer, as a flag rank officer. And so I think a clear question is, was he making these phone calls to the Russian ambassador about our sanctions against Russia for their invasion and occupation of Crimea, for their interference in our election, casually? Was he freelancing on his own? Was this inadvertence? Was this incompetence? Or was this intentional? And I frankly think this leads to an important question, Chris, which is, what did President Trump know? What did the president know, and when did he know it about these actions by General Flynn? And why wasn't there stronger action taken sooner to protect our national security?
So
We've got ballistic missile launches going off in North Korea and Iran. We have an active military campaign against ISIS. This is no time for a National Security Council led by someone who is a clear security risk.
Over on the House side, there are Democrats demanding answers. John Conyers, Elijah Cummings, who are the ranking members of the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees, are calling for at least classified briefings for Congress. They said, quote, "We need to know who authorized his actions, permitted them, and continue to let him have access to our most sensitive national security information. We need to know who else within the White House is a current and ongoing risk to our national security." So what happens next, Senator?
Well, Chris, there is an ongoing investigation in the Senate Intelligence Committee. That needs to be a thorough, wide-open investigation of this entire trail. There also, frankly, should be a hearing, and there should be an investigation on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and on the Senate Judiciary Committee. There are two relevant subcommittees where I think it's appropriate for us to move forward. This isn't just about what happened with General Flynn. This is about Russian interference in our last election and about upcoming elections in our vital allies in Europe. We've already heard from national leaders in Germany, in France, and Holland that they're seeing exactly the kind of actions by the Russians to interfere with and undermine their democratic elections as happened here. This is an important issue of national security, Chris, and we need to address it in a bipartisan way. I am hopeful that ultimately Republicans will join with Democrats here in the Senate and agree that we need an independent study. We need an independent commission to investigate this. But as of right now, the Senate Intelligence Committee is the committee handling it.
Well, and also, I think it's going to be interesting to see over the weekend, Mike Pence is going to be meeting with German Chancellor Merkel. That conversation could get interesting. Senator Chris Coons, always a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
And coming up, much more reaction.